Yamamo Aquaba Ediba XTV so abo nonsia emroson se nonsia bremu kasia yewo ewe fidie so yede ema ewo bebi biara wo se wo benya tie na wahwe mana ye wo de bebi biara wo a ukwa befo tinta kase no so XTV GH eye Facebook Samsung ukopiem ewo YouTube eye XTV Ghana enna eyo bene bosom ni de to so ngotwe ewo afempim yi ne aduonumienu no emo ensam a ekoso ewo yeman moni amahudo so nsa ya boabo ne nyinam no ene yede ebrow ene anope ensam a yede ebrow no edo so yi ankasa na poso ne bi ene sei wo mampani na adodan kwa ekufuado ede ahye ede atowa Ghana fo nyina ese yenhwe na eni de asomdwe a yekuremu ewo mai Ghana mu yenkuremu enibre so sanso na yema nkankwa yewo ewo mai mu no yenkuremu enibre so yede mu kyeremu ebebreo ewo nsem fufuru mu nso wokopie mu ewo menhia not abaton peso so hode ai honso ababeto dwa se NPP fo wo mu police station election na ekoso no ya twa sensen kakra ewo honom emu kyeremu wo bete Kasebo ye mu kopiemu ewo alataman mu so amamebe nso dia babeto dwa essay wono ankasa ni ba ni yemu ba wawo no one no etimi akompemu mana wo ba ediama ni kunu yede mu kyeremu ebebreo ensem bi ka we hu ana mede breo se anopa no nsia kase abrame oba pa me visa kosi atemede kase ebrewo mametwa me hu mara mfa kasebo emu kyekye mu ankasa emfamo Ediba XTV anopa no nsia kase so menhye nsem na se ediama odi amede free Ghana mampeni Ghana pesie nana adodan kwa ekufuado akache wode nsem bia ba betudwa de woke nyina ene se wosre Ghana fo nyina ese yemfa enebro so enso eye nkabom ni asomdwe a yekuremu ewo mai Ghana mu no yemfa enebro so enso mu yie papapa woto aso echiremu se nipa bi ewo mai mu a wo mo de wo pemuje hwegu pa wo nya yanka basabasaye esi ewo yemman mu nanso enya de wo no se wote so se mampani ewo mai Ghana mu die enya de obepene so masanyeme eteme akoso na wo kasa abra edano kwasia da Ghana yedi mfisha mako aduosia inum ewo mampani na adedan kwa kufuado wonya brese wo kasa no ene wode sansem nyina wode etudwa wo kyeremu se yehunu pansa wo bi epese wode to trustem bi ebepiemu ewo mai Ghana tetirum pan na sei wo beti na yesi yepese yeto aban ade so yepese asrafo ene bedi ade wo sesa kase enye kasa ehotie enye kasa wo se yetie po ewo yasomo enti wonu de wo kache Ghana fo nyina ese wo bisa yese asundwa yewo mu yempe ana nkabom a yekremu ewo mai Ghana mu yempe ana wo hye yebiom ese nkabom ni asundwa ene de ye ekoso ewo yemem no yembo ye homodin na yensomu yie na ntimi emboa ye na mputunyuma nso ntimi mra yemman emu.
There are some restless spirits amongst us who, seeking to exploit the current difficulties confronting the nation, claim to have lost confidence in our democratic system to effect a peaceful constitutional change in the governance of our state. Either the absence of faith in the prospects of a democratic alternative to the current government, or their impatience to wield executive authority are the factors driving their appetite for the shortcut of military intervention. Whatever be the case, they seem ready to jeopardize the hard-won reputation of our country as a beacon of democracy and stability in Africa, and indeed in the world, in order to gratify their personal ambitions which show little or no respect for the capacity of the Ghanaian people to change, when necessary, their government peacefully through the ballot box, something they have done on 3 separate occasions in the 29-year life of the Fourth Republic. The great majority of us who are committed to democratic values and democratic institutions will continue to resist the claims of these adventurers and employ all legitimate means in a democracy to maintain our free, open system of governance, which is respectful of human rights, the rule of law, and the principles of democratic accountability. Ghana deserves to put the initial decades of perhaps understandable turbulence and instability in her history firmly behind her, to enable the development of our nation to proceed in conditions of freedom, order, peace, and stability, which have been the happy hallmarks of the Fourth Republic.
Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo is urging Ghanaians to support the government. The president
rights, the rule of law, something they have done on 3 separate occasions in the 29-year life of the Fourth Republic. The great majority of us who are committed to democracy.
Ewo nsɛmfofromo na nsɛmfofromo NPP osoko kwa amanyuko no ogifo busum ne de toso edun kron pebebe na mpanifo omoda amanyuko na nemo edi nsɛm bi ebati udwade omo kenyina enese eho behia se wonna wo mo pedibre ewo police stations ahoduo no wo mo be peke forms na yentu wo mo so aba na wo mo hyase si ya peke forms eho nsɛm de enye ebinie se ebinimo si wo mo koye forms no yes ye ton eye fake one ede ma wo mo eho nsɛm bre ebepie mu ewo omaigan ne mu na ene dey ekopie mu ewo mention not abato mpeso aso ehonum eda no kwasia da enda nanka wo mu beto aba eyi police station panifo ewo honum na so panifo mu da manyuko na nemu edin kraba betodwa esse wo matwentwen so sa mention not abato no wo matwentwen so kakra na wo mu nyina ekire mu se eye party members no wo mu ebomadi eye ye kire mu odin basabasa ye esi ye ewo party officer da no kwasia da na nya asem ketwa ewo mu ma ye ma police fo na soja fo mpo ene ekọ honum asana sundwe mapa etimi eba honum na members wo mu sama wo mu kanyina ene sei nkrofo bia wo mu kọ peke forms no mu kọ to forms no empanifo aye kutosu mamwaso ma wo yi wo mu edi free abatuo no emu echemu sei wo mu nye qualify na wo mu echemu sei ensam potinti wo mu chemu sei wo mu nsem fatase yeto wo mu so aba no empanifo afa nchechemu amfa ma enti members no wo mu eye ye kire ye dede sese niama ewo party officer eda no kweseda na chese enya asem ketwa ena manu sunti penifo esi sa abato ye beto no ewo mention not no umatwe asensen so kakra edi kopem eye march busom ni da toso aduonu nan edi kopem ni da toso aduonu no 24 to 25th march ena sa abato no ebetimi abaso na members wo mu sambia wo mu eka enesem wo mu enya nentie eye asante mantem dwentreni edima NPP amanyuko no chema wuntumi aka say wonu akasa etua forms ni bika ede ama womo nanso womo ekoye no eyade ayaji womo sika na nti womo epe womo sika no ebiom nanso impanifo womo da eye amanyuko no anamu echirem sem wonna womo wodi bre wa amanyuko no mu dida no ene ya to forms na napose yetua womo die no ede ama womo na wo afei na wo pe di bre e wa amanyuko no mu die wankasa ene wasa wodi usika eto na eno nti menti me hwase e ma ne humre so kase pa na chese enya asem kuma na manu sinti wo mo si abato ye beto no e mention not no umatwe sinsen so kakra kopem match busom ni dato so edunu na di kopem edunu num na sa oye ne menti me hwase a ekoso e wo NPP amanyuko yi emo e wonam wo police station eye abato a ekoso yinti no empanifo mo da amanyuko no anem dwentreni edima NPP amanyuko no Fedibre wo friends centrofo nhyiemu edin sembi tudwa echemu se wo mo bom modin e so bibia ano ehwese asundwe mapa ebetimi aba wo mo abato na wo mo etu no emu yenkone kohwese na Fedibre echeche nsem ni mo emre bi etwemu.
There have been reports of pockets of incidents happening in some of the constituencies. A few are Kede constituency, Menchia North, Bosmasi, Bosome from Ningo Pram, among others. There are also video disturbances being circulated on social media platforms as a result of purported instances where party people have been denied access to buying of the polling station application forms. The party wishes to emphasize that it has made available adequate nomination forms for the polling stations, electoral area election committees, which are mandated committees for the conduct of the polling station electoral areas elections in the 38,622 polling stations across the country. The national leadership of the party is per this press conference directing all polling stations, electoral area, electoral committees to make available the application forms to all eligible party members who wish to partake in the polling station elections. It is also assuring all eligible members that the party will take steps to ensure that application forms are made available to them. With immediate effect, the party is also dispatching officers to reported areas of disturbances for fact-finding and investigations, and where necessary, disciplinary sanctions will be applied. Further to this, it is also reported that some leading personalities have procured application forms for aspiring police station executives. The party wishes to advise that any such matters relating to financial support in this process must be channeled through the National Party Secretariat for uniformity, fairness, and accountability. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, on this note, the National Party has decided to extend the sale of the polling station application form by 1 day. That is tomorrow, Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. It is also by this press conference directing that all polling station and electoral area election committees to comply with the new extension.
Now, Jemseni, Edima, or Snuko New Kuno, Freddy Brain, and who yes, Wakasaye, I watch more as forms maybe behind your ready or be answer a bit to me as so. Now, more for be a necassa, a year a jacopra, a casai say, a young man Penia Bediche, Dr. Mamudu Baumia, I bring it on Nana walk, digita, wasem, of Bibia or see a debefa barefoot in Tancasano near dear, and tea and on what about 2 weeks, or went me and faso, Naya and Yanisa or Bia, and Koyano, our online, na be anti me master, Jane Senabeya, sa ya the forms fake and idea may any who send be enti me enchana eni de hu sem bebre NPP amanyuko the central for she mo be yin na echi na nya de emu etimi adwokra kokra e wo mabato a e koso no emu enti se de mention not de ye bosuma ye mo ni that so adunu na de kopem adunu num no ansa na abato no e betimi abaso mentu akase no so na menfa nkopie mo e wo nsam foforo ye kwakopie mo e wo temale tifedu mantemo na eno na ba beto dwa ese apost for omo we tifidu mante mo omo hwehwe nipa maako edunum bia womo esusu sei womo ekodi nyamra ho nsem bi ewo dakpeme ahemfie ho a eno ewo etifidu mante mo edan no dwada ahomachen na ye kiremu a womo bom ho modin etututuo afenso no bicycle bi anapse motorbike bi ewo honom no womo twaja editumo so show screen so obehu motorbike bi a ye twaja pa edi atomo na sa etututu ni basabasa ya etime ekoso ewo dakpeme ahemfie honom no eyade a nipa maako num eho eka yesanso eno hempo ankasa wo no ewo dakpeme ehonom ani dindi eye na ba wafuseni wono nso ne ho eka ya me no kase womo eje ayarehwe na ye kiremu a womu obi antimi anka adekude potenti a nipa bonifo etimi koto hye eye ahemfie ho eprepra nkrofo sa a esese niema nso eka ho nemu no ehwehwemu ababede di esem ahemfie mienu a ewo etefedu mantemo eye dakpem ahemfie na afens no gukpe na ahemfie honom no ekamia ese womu mienu nyina obia echiremu ebo ne ho safo hene se wono ene ye himpo ankasa wowo etefedu mantemo etemale honom enti no amafo esusu se enamanu sunti ena nkrofo akwakotu ede ahye ohimpo wono ewo dakpem ahemfie honom no enti ne mpanifo police pania wono ehwe crime ewo honom a ne dindi superintendent Bernard Baba Ananga wono ene da nsem nyina edi edi kire nsentwerefo a wo twem se wo mugusora eye nsem no hwehwemu pa ehundie nti na moso a nipa bonifo etimi koto hye ahemfie ho eprepra amanfo sanso esese niema enti wo mu de adesede de tu Ghana fo nyina enim se so wo mu nim san krofo nipa mako dunum memma kantin kan dunum a wo mu ko de san nyamra ho nsem media wo mu bom homodi no mu bo police fo mu wo etefidu mantem amane ne yenko so wo mu afenso wo mu sanso echem se wo himpon ene nipa mako num a wo mu epraye no wo mu egusora eji ayarehwe ewo Temale Teaching Hospital honum a enu nsem so yede abrewo se anopa no nsia kasie Oguso ehwe anopa no nsia kase ewo XTV so mento ansem no so na memfa mu kopie mu ewo nsem foforo mu na nsem foforo mu no ene de ababeto ye pono so wapani a wono kopie mu ewo mahye a edom dodo no ba no deni abediechi ne dindi Alexander Afenyomanki wono so ede nsem bia ababeto dwa wo kire mu se e-levy bill no enchekura yade asese de eni parliament honum eni mahye na so emrepemu no wo mu di beba no wo mu di banso won behwe se won beji ede atomo Afenyomanki ebo ne homodin edan sansem nyina edi na otwe wie yei emu eye edano fiada ene wodi sansem nyina odi etudwamra wokopie mu mahye a wodi nkontebuo ena afens no niama sika ho nsem bi a won di bedi dwuma eye na wotwe ayesimu mu ena Afenyomanki wodi sansem nyina wodi etudwa ye nyina yenim e-levy ho nsem dida fiti se wo pani a wono ene hwe sika sem so ye kenoforiata edi budget ne kopie mu o mahye a wodi e-levy eka ho no ehu nsem de ebeye bubuja echen otwe ho nwi ewo ye man emu nanso ni nyina mu Afenyomanki echirem se mrepemu no ye bill no ye de beba mayaji ede atomo yenkone yenkohwe inti
the all important e-levy that members have always been inquiring. So Speaker, it is important to bring of members that the e-levy falls under the program that we have proposed. So as and when it's supposed to be taken, members will be on notice. So once we see that papers and reports will be laid and motions will be taken, papers and reports include the bills that have come and committee work. So it is at large and all that. So, Mr. Speaker, members to be rest assured that they would be on notice. There will be no surprises here. So if members want to know about road tolls and why road tolls are not being taken, of course, in the 2022 budget, there's nothing like, there's zero rate for 2022. And then also, even as we delay in the e-levy, you know, we've already passed appropriation, government is to spend, and even as we've delayed as a house, government has already lost January and February revenue already. So I believe that when the time comes, we will do the needful to let the people of Ghana know that we mean business.
Na oni pa hu ni sesia eye Afenyomanki wono na wotime edi sansimi edi tudwa se mepemu no e-levy no eyade a yebetimi age edi atomo yento ansem no so eni yemfa nkopie mu ewo nsem fofom na otwetwe mu no ebeto odwa se eye LPG liquefied eye petroleum gas no se yatom wo ham chechemu enum na enu no na opani a wono ukopie mu ewo LPG honuma wo ye vice president edi Marketers Association eye opani Gabriel Kumi wodi nsem bia ba beto dwa ne wo kenyina NSA we de akwa yo how kese pa say no wo say wo ba o man Ghana mu a ade ani boa ye din pa eye gas ni boa ye din pa che say wo duru ho kra na wonte ase ebema nipa dodo na enya de wo mbetimi use gas biom wo be kai pa Ghana mampeni na nadodan kwakufado e de beto dwa ese wo mo ba behwe se na ebe ya won na wo mo use bidie e de tonton ade e de nua aduane won na mo use eye eja e de nua aduane ye ba betwa sa ade nyina mu ese wo ko nkron kinkitin ni nyina mu a ye be use gas e de aye aduane se na ebe ya enkonkofa o haw bia enfam no ya fensu no won na wo mo twa nnua edi shi bidie ne ade se na be ya no so etu ebetimi etwa nanso wo pani kumi gebra echiremu se sanhihye ye wo mampani na do na kwakufado edi bai no e kamia se entimi emmemu emfam ma no esa ne se gas ne buya na eye din Ghana fo nso no wo ye aketua eye sen wo si wo bia wo je aketua 500 600 700 no untimi nka kire se won fa na aketua mu ha wo chechemu du infanto gas nkua na busuafo ne de ma aka no eboye den ya na wo chiremu se no gas no ne buya din dodo ebema nhihye na afensi no eni so ade ho a wo mampani pese wo je no enya da betimi abem wo chiremu se nansen ye nam ene esi ye duenua ye bese sika ye bese adaje e de duenua na ye duenua se na be ye nua no bebo oman no hu ban ne ma ye mframapa na afensi se gas ne bu ye diansan nui ye bese so asan ye chia kwa kotwitwa na ye de abeshi bidie e de akoye eja e de nua aduane e de hawo beba pa enti wo chiremu se we de mpanifo ntempa so no wo mo hwe no munye bibi mfamfa ho.
Unfortunately, okay, we are in a price deregulation, and depending on the marketer strategy, there is some margins that the marketer can play with. And let's say if the margin is 40 cedis, the marketer can decide to charge 40 pesos, the marketer can decide to charge 30, some are charging 35, some are charging up to the 40, the full 40. So it depends on the strategy that the marketer is adopting. Okay. But there is kind of a ceiling that you cannot go beyond. But marketers, because we are deregulated, marketers always play within the margin to be able to have customers or otherwise. This will obviously negatively affect our business, because you know LPG is highly price sensitive. It has an elastic demand. So the little persuade that you increase the price of the product with will go a long way to affect the consumption of the product and the purchase of the product. So obviously, business is not doing too well, because if you look at the statistics, consumption is on the decline now. Consumption of LPG is on a serious decline. And if measures are not taken, if the price continue to go up as it's doing now, we are afraid consumption will continue to decline, and there will be a lot of negative consequences to that. Some of our members are no longer able to keep employment because we're dealing with volumes. Once the volume goes down, you cannot have the necessary margins to be able to sustain your employees.
Okay.
So now, nipa unwe se wakasa isesi a waye Vice President Adima LPG Marketers Association Openi Gebre Kumi yento ansem no so ene yemfa nkopie mu ewo nsem fofromo wopeni pa wono ene yekofare by wodi Perez Chapel International ede ebaye eyopeni Charles Ejinesare wodi nsembia ba betudwa wo ka echemu se kwanya amanyufo ibi ehyehyehye se asori bi wo ha obo asori ni di mpede ese wo asori we die eyamanyuko we dia asori we die eyamanyuko we die no wo chemu se enye ebema eye asofo na afenso no eye asofo mpanifo bebre se bibi ekoso wo man no mu a wo mu entimi inkasa emfamfa won esa ne se amanyuko we eneti ewo aban mu na ukokasa pe ukasa ti amanyuko na ewo aban mu pe yebeka se o endie wo opposition for afa wo twem se san ne menyina eye kwan ya aban ne fese wo fa so na wo mutimi di ka wo mo nsem ehye womu ka womu sem ehye papa pa na wochemu se enya de eye enya so ban pa enti no mpanifo no womu ejan se abreni dom nyina womu kasa ese o asori we yamanyuko we di asori we yamanyuko je ne wose sansem no enya no wochemu se oman no enya de ye nsori edi free mu a ebetimi aye yie da ensan se sorry no so womu so womu asade womu so womu nema womu ye edi bua wo man ni mputu wo bobo so echiremu se wo bepie mu awo oman Ghana mu a wo hwe school schools a yesie ewo man Ghana mu a e kamia esen sorry schools no kra no e dooso krampo esen eye aban na kasa ne dia wetimi esie wo se wo no ankasa ne hwehwemu e ma ne hu ese wo man Ghana mu basic schools mako impemiensa 3000 pim eduasa pim yensa 3000 na wo mwetimi eye sorry edie sanso na senior high schools no mako 53 na eye sorry no edie sanso ukopiemu ewo college of education mako 31 eye sorry die sanso na universities mako ngotwe a eye sorry die ono ankasa ni Perez Chapel na ankasa nso ewo university a eka ho bi wei eda na di pefe ese eba na ehumesua eba na pomodin nsem a sorry nso motimi ebie resabia hodo bebra wo mudi eboa oman no nti wo man no ene mampanifo no ne amanyofo no wo mugya ese abreni dom nyina wo mu tag sorry bi ese wo mu ye amanyoko wei anapose amanyoko bi yenkone nkotie enhwe.
I would say to some extent there's been some cooperation. And I would say also that to another extent there's been tagging of the church. So we've come to a place where in this country, if a particular government is in power and the church says anything or a clergyman says anything, then he belongs to the opposition. And so we don't look at things through the eyes of objectivity anymore. We look at the things, and you can't, I mean, you are saying something that is a fact, and because it's a particular government that is in power, it means that you belong to the opposition. That characterization, it's dividing the church, and it's political. The politicians intentionally did it. They did it to divide and rule the people, because if they tagged the leaders and the opinion leaders, if they tagged them, then when you spoke, when there was the need, nobody will listen, because then you are tainted in a certain. I've had people in the corridors of power talk to me and say that, Bishop, don't stop speaking. And I've said, but you've tagged me. They said, Bishop, don't stop speaking, because when you stop speaking, this country will sink. So I said, but I mean, once you speak, they release attack dogs on you. They say, oh, it's intentional. Because we know when you speak, people listen. Years ago, there was a survey conducted around West Africa, and random survey. And they asked, if you had a problem, who do you want to deal with your problem? Then they gave the list: politicians, chiefs. I would say to some extent there's been some cooperation. And I would say also that to another extent.
No, nipa umu yese wakasa isesi ano kofari by Wada Perez Chapel International no Charles Ejinesari ena wote yese wakasa ya wodi nchichi muse wode eba ya menjina ninse wise ne nanope kasia medebre wose anopa brem kasie ewo XTV so no mefeni nyina infensi asida inconfirm o sabridum nyina onya da genebre na wo hwe XTV anopa no nsia kasie na kasebo nyina ya boni nyina bede ukopiemu ewa be fotintan kasie ne so Facebook eye XTVG Samsung ena YouTube eye XTV Ghana ye wo poko asi Festus Adum Plaza building mo ene asida confirm me cameraman DJ YX Samsung ena odutwa me edit mu Bismarck ena Offense Law wo mo ene twa me edi etu mo mpenifo mo tai eye kasebo nyina echi ehwe direct bibia se bibia ebetimi akonkan boss lady ni boss so Samsung fafale heti ni faith wo mo nyina etamechi didi mi amedi kasi ebrewo eyo ba pa me visa akosiata me sorry so ne mo me twa me ho kakra ba ye ba e di yendi Ghana ho komo eto so ediamo enyi we fidi ni fefria me ba